Welcome to Money Mode, the channel that makes money talk less confusing and way more useful. Let's get into it. Everyone talks about passive income. Buy a stock, sit back, and collect a check every few months. It sounds like the ultimate financial cheat code. But are dividend stocks really a path to passive income, or is that just a myth people repeat without checking the math? Let's find out. A dividend stock is simply a company that shares part of its profit with shareholders, usually every quarter. Instead of keeping all the earnings to grow the business, mature companies return a slice of cash directly to the people who own their shares. Think of it as being a tiny, partial owner of a business, quietly getting paid your share of the profits. Here's how the mechanics actually work. A company's board approves a dividend per share. On a set date called the ex-dividend date, anyone holding the stock qualifies for the next payment. The cash then lands in your brokerage account, usually a few weeks later. Some investors take that cash and spend it. Others reinvest it automatically through a dividend reinvestment plan, buying more shares with every payout, which slowly snowballs your position over time. Why do companies bother paying dividends at all? Usually because they have matured. A young startup burns cash to grow fast. A decades-old company selling everyday products often generates more cash than it needs for expansion, so it rewards shareholders instead. That steady cash flow is part of what makes these companies feel more stable and predictable. Now here's the appeal that gets everyone excited. If you own enough shares, those payments arrive automatically, quarter after quarter, without you lifting a finger. No client calls, no shifts, no invoices. That's the passive income dream. And on paper, it is true. The check does show up whether you worked that day or not. But let's talk about the real math. A stock yielding 4% a year means every $100,000 invested generates roughly $4,000 annually before taxes. To replace an average full-time salary purely through dividends, you would typically need a portfolio worth well over $1 million. That is not a flaw in the strategy, it is simply the honest scale required for dividends alone to cover your living expenses. There are risks that get glossed over too. Dividends are never guaranteed. A company can cut or suspend its payout overnight if profits fall, and history is full of examples where investors chasing high yields got burned when the checks suddenly stopped. Stock prices can also drop, sometimes wiping out years of dividend income in a single downturn. And in most countries, dividend income is taxable, which shrinks your actual return. Inflation matters too. A fixed dividend that felt generous 5 years ago buys less today. That is why serious dividend investors look for companies with a track record of raising their payout every year, not just maintaining it. Watch out for the yield trap. A stock advertising a huge double-digit yield can look tempting, but an unusually high yield is often a warning sign, not a bargain. It can mean the share price already crashed because the market expects a dividend cut. Chasing the highest number on screen is one of the fastest ways to turn passive income into a painful lesson. Time and reinvestment change the picture dramatically. Someone who reinvests every dividend for 20 years is not just collecting cash, they are compounding it. Each reinvested payout buys more shares, which then generate their own dividends, creating a snowball that grows faster the longer it runs. This is why dividend investing is often described as a long game rather than a quick win. How does this compare to other passive income sources? Government bonds offer safety but lower long-term returns. Real estate investment trusts pay out most of their income by law, often with higher yields, but come with their own market swings. Savings accounts feel safe but rarely keep pace with inflation. Dividend stocks sit somewhere in the middle, offering more growth than bonds, more liquidity than real estate, and more risk than a savings account. So is dividend investing truly passive? Building the portfolio is not passive at all. It takes years of consistent investing, reinvesting payouts, and picking companies with durable business models. The passive part only kicks in after that foundation is built. Think of it less like a lottery ticket and more like planting an orchard. You plant, water, and wait, and eventually the trees start feeding themselves. This video is for educational purposes only and is not investment advice. Dividend investing can become real passive income, but only after patient, deliberate work building the base. If this helped clarify how dividends work, subscribe for more straightforward finance breakdowns, and share what topic you want explained next.